Thank you, Tatiana. Yeah, I also don't want to take a lot of time from our wonderful speaker, Jarazet. I just want to share my my moments of inspiration, what I had when I talked with her about the topic Divergent, because what she will focus is how Divergent works out for innovation. And yeah, what I like the most is how in every day we can just disrupt our everyday working style, because playfulness and creativity is the key to start innovate. And it's also a teamwork. And I could also already use it for my everyday work. And I really hope that you guys who attend today can use some insights from her. And yeah, I would just like to pass it over to Jarazet so you can see this amazing presentation. And yeah, Jarazet, up to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Darlene. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. And I want to start this talk by asking you to think inside of the box. I know we're often asked to think outside of the box, but this morning, I want you to think inside of the box. And here, I have a physical box, and I want you to think what's inside. Do you have any guesses? Please help me to put it on the chat. And I'll give you some seconds. Nothing? Oh, yeah. Paulette, could you help me read some of them?
Sure. Letters, thin air, coffee cup, sweets, your coffee, knowledge and experience, jewelry, candy, nothing, post-it notes.
Okay, great. So let's discover together what's inside. Now, I want you to give me thumbs up on your screen if you think this box is empty. Anyone? Thumbs up? Okay. Well, let me tell you that this box is not empty. It has a white canvas. Can you see it? Give me thumbs up. Okay, let me show it to you. This is a white canvas because here you can draw, you can paint, you can create, you can bring an idea into the real world. And this morning, I have the secret for this talk. And maybe what you just see here is a bunch of random dots. But what you will discover at the end of this talk is what is the secret. So I want you to keep this in mind throughout this talk. Now, my name is Jarazet, and I'm an innovationist. I'm also an agile coach and a design thinking mentor, and I'm also a plate advocate, as Valin said. And what are we going to cover this morning is the topic of Divergent. I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you the first takeaway of the talk. So you don't have to wait until the end of this talk for the first takeaway. And the first takeaway that we're going to see is do not think inside of the box. And why do I say that? Sorry, do not think outside of the box. And why do I say that? Because maybe you, as I, when you hear the phrase think outside of the box, you feel the pressure to come out with this breakthrough idea that will change the world. The problem is that to come up with this breakthrough idea, you have to have a multiple set of ideas that collide and so at some point and create this breakthrough idea. So when you are asking people to think outside of the box, you are constraining them already to one idea. But to have a good idea, you have to have multiple ideas. So instead of thinking outside of the box, I want to invite you to think as there is no box. Because when you think there is no box, then there is no limitation. All the ideas are welcome and the space is the limit. And also because what maybe we are seeing a box, but what is actually is a square, or it might be something else. So I want you to think that throughout the talk. And think as there is no box in all those things that we're gonna see today. I'm gonna give you 5 practical tools and steps that you can start implementing right after this talk. The first one that we're gonna see how these points are gonna help you increase your divergent thinking. The first thing that we're gonna see is challenge assumptions and why it's important to challenge the status quo, look into our own misconceptions and assumptions. The second one is why taking action is fundamental to see the change you wanna see in your life and in your spaces of influence. Then we're gonna look at the redesign and reframe approach. And you're gonna see how using those approaches, you're gonna see challenges not as something impossible, but as something possible that you can transform and reframe and redesign. And finally, but most importantly, we're gonna see purpose, why purpose is important. I'm gonna show you a hands-on framework that will help you launch your purpose and give you the right amount of motivation to follow your dreams. So are you ready? Let's start with the first thing. And since we're already speaking about boxes, I want to invite you again to write in the chat, what do you see here? And I'm going to ask Paula to read the comments when they come through.
Yeah, let's wait. They're saying a cardboard, a box, another box, art, picture of the box, a cardboard box, paper, wood, open box, an empty box, picture of a cardboard box, moving box, tape, package of salando, an empty box, angles, and a space that I can fill with my goals, a Zoom slide.
Yeah. Perfect. I have done this exercise many times, and 80% of the people said that what they see is a box. Some of them see it as a package or something else, maybe a gift. So this is what an adult sees. This is what a kid sees. A kid might see in this box a robot, maybe a spaceship. You could see an underground world. The space is the limit. So what's the difference? The difference is that we as an adult start seeing the things for their practical use. But when we are kids, we see the things for their potential, for what they can be. So now you might be wondering yourself, why when I was a kid, I was able to see the potential of the things, but now that I'm an adult, I focus more on the practicality of the things. I'm not saying that looking at the practicality is not good. Actually, both are essential for innovation, for divergent thinking. The problem is that when we grow up, we lose that sense, we lose that ability to see the potentiality of the things. So you may be wondering, what happened in between in my life that I lost that ability in certain extent? And what happened is the factory model. Our educational system was developed 120 years ago during the Industrial Revolution. At that time, this model was very effective, because what we needed was very skilled workers that knew how to operate machines precisely. The problem with that is that our challenges have evolved and they're different, but our educational system has not evolved to the speed of the change. And the problem in this educational system is that you succeed by your own effort. You succeed by learning an answer, even if you don't understand why. You succeed by not failing, by just following the rules and passing the exams. And this exact model, I'm having some issues for the presentation, is this exact model that replicates to our working environments. And you can even see it in this setup, right? And I want you to give me thumbs up or a reaction on your screen if you have ever been on a job interview where they ask you, are you a team player? What are we gonna answer? We're gonna answer yes. But are we really team players when we spend decades and decades of our life succeeded by our own, where there was very little opportunities to collaborate, to co-learn, right? Then another question that you might have been asked, are you a problem solver in an interview? What are we gonna answer? Yes. But if we think deeply, are we really? And the thing is that we spend decades at in our education system to memorizing answers. There is very little room for experimentation, for following our curiosity, for failing and learning from failure. Those skills are essential for problem solving. And then finally, and a lot of people and companies are focusing innovation, and no wonder why we're struggling with innovation. And it's the same thing. We don't have the environment set up where innovation can flourish. Now you might be wondering yourself, okay, I understand this, but what can I do? Well, we have to reform and transform our educational system. We have to move to educational system that is more holistic, that is not all side fits all, where you train kids to learn from failure, to experiment, to follow their curiosity, but also to learn new skills, to prepare them for jobs that do not exist yet, to cross-collaborate, co-create, and succeed as a team. Now, we also need to reform our working environments. We need to move from this fixed 9-to-5 schedule and these very fixed job descriptions into a more cross-functional teamwork, and also where you hire people not by a role, but by the skills and their ability they have to learn new skills. A lot of people is worried about the rise of artificial intelligence because they feel that it may take their jobs. And actually, if we continue this path, that is going to be the case. But we have in our working environments and in our professional life to come back to what makes us human. What makes us human is this empathy, is this connection, is this sense of curiosity and experimentation and failing. This cannot be replaced by machines. So when we understand that and what we can bring to the table, then is when we are gonna succeed. I really believe that the individuals and the society and the individuals and the companies that understand the role they have to play in shaping the change, their role they have to play in not only focusing on profit, but focusing on the sustainability, on the individual and the society and the effect they have on them, they're going to succeed. The companies and individuals that understand that innovation cannot be a part of a function in the company. It has to happen in every single function of the company, and it has to be driven by everyone. And one example is for this work setup is when you hire a musician that doesn't have any idea of coding, but you hire it for a coding project, because here in this, when you increase and help people build their passions in their work, you're gonna get the next breakthrough innovation. Now for innovations, we need to solve the challenges in a new way. So what do we have to do? This sounds very big, and how can I reform as an individual the educational system and the working environment? I will let you know how, but first we need to understand that we have to move from a system of collecting dots to a system of connecting dots. We're very good at converging. We're very good at making choices because we are being, learning that. But we are we struggle to diverge, to create choices. And there is where we have to move. We have to be good at diverging and not converging at the same time. And you might have heard this phrase that we cannot solve the problems with the same thinking we used to create them. Albert Einstein. Well, actually, let me tell you that this quote has been misquoted. Albert Einstein said something similar, but not this. We have to learn to think in a new way. Now, what we can learn from this quote beyond the meaning of we need a new level of thinking. We need to learn to question everything. Because maybe the phrase you thought Albert Einstein said, he never said it, right? So we are believing a misconception. So this is something that this is the first practical step that I want you to write down. Challenge assumptions, eliminate cognitive biases and misconceptions. And one practical thing that you can do after this talk is think of something that you have always believed is truth, and think if it is based on a misconception or a fact. If it is based on a misconception, go research more and challenge it and help people understand that there is a misconception. Now, as I mentioned, we need to reform our educational system and our working environments. But how as an individuals we can do it? I start also seeing a lot of misconceptions about innovation, that innovation was this aha moment that happened to very few individuals and is always related to tech. But when I started researching and challenging that misconception, I understood that innovation was a process that flourishes in the collision of cross-collaboration, in the collision of very diverse ideas, and is built in certain minds. And this make me feel compelled to do something. And this is how Live Innovation Lab was born. Live Innovation Lab is a non-for-profit organization with its core mission to democratize innovation in the sense that we believe that everyone has all they need to innovate, and not even that. We believe everyone should innovate. So what we do here is labs. As you can see in the pictures, when you're coming to our events, you are not just gonna go and listen, you're gonna come and do. We believe in learning by doing because we need to train those skills as an adult as well. So here in our event, we help people understand the process of innovation, what are the mindsets, but not only that, we help them to cross-collaborate, to follow their curiosity, to experiment. And to our surprise, in our events, when people come, we see the strangers on a table. After a few hours, they become a team. And sometimes after our events, they still working. And you may see this and say, wow, this is great, but how can I get started? Well, let me tell you that you can start with a simple step. And this started by sending emails to venues to ask to host us. Also by asking people in my network if they wanted to do the first lab. It was a challenge because I didn't ask them, come and talk. I asked them, come and teach and help us co-create. And also I put up an online invitation for people to join. To my surprise, the event was fully booked after a few days and people show up. And since then, our events have been fully booked and people still showing up. So what does this teach us? This teaches that there is a big need for spaces like this. We need more live innovation labs across the world. We need to train our innovation skill. So we don't want this to stay here. And what started as one person, now we're a group of volunteers that are hosting the events and designing the events. So you may be wondering, what is the methodology or what are you guys doing for these events? And the methodology starts with a very simple but fundamental question. When was the last time you played? And why is important? Because we start learning about the world and about ourselves through play. We learn very important skills to play. But I just want you to think for a moment, when was the last time you played? And might be many years ago. So play as an adult is fundamental. And that's how we created the Play Innovation Framework. The Play Innovation Framework uses elements of play to teach you and to help you into the innovation process. As I mentioned, innovation is not an aha moment, but it's a skill that you have to train. Like painting, innovating is a skill that you have to train. And the more you train it, the better you become at it. Now you see in your screen this innovator's mindset model. As I mentioned, they are mindsets that will help you train that muscle. And in Live Innovation Lab, for the Play Innovation Framework, we did a very concise definition of innovation. And why that? Because innovation is a very abstract concept. If you ask 100 people their definition of innovation, 100 people will tell you 100 different definitions. But we have seen across our experience and across our research, there are three fundamental elements for innovation, and is people, ideas, and things. And finding the non-evident connections between those three can generate a greater value. So I'll give you an example, the smartphone, of how these work. And you can use these for every single innovation. The concept of people people communication is what the smartphone is solving. The idea is the internet, and the thing is the device. So at some point, someone else thought, why don't we combine these three and create a device that will help and enhance the communication of the human beings? Now, every concept has certain mindsets, and we have seen that these mindsets have been present in innovators across history. So the mindset for people is open-minded and empathetic listener. For the ideas is connection builder and curious learner, and for things is fearless doer and creative explorer. And then in the center, there is resilient and purpose-driven. You cannot be an innovator, you cannot do anything if you're not resilient and purpose-driven. This is core and key to anything we do. So this mindset, because you're gonna find setbacks, but having the resilient mindset and a purpose-driven will help you have the energy and the courage to keep going. So this is the framework we use to teach, and through the activities, we help people develop those mindsets. Now, this is the second takeaway I want you to take with you this morning. And I want you to go out there and take action. Develop your sense of curiosity, observation, and experimentation. And really think of one thing that you feel compelled to do something, and take one simple step to start taking action. Now, another thing that I felt compelled about, as I mentioned, is our working environments. People said, we spend so many times at work that you have to find your dream job. But actually, you can go from job to job and you will never find your dream job. So what about instead of finding your dream job, you design your dream job? Because maybe you just have to approach it in a new way. So I'm a deep fan of Creative Mornings, and I'm very happy now to be one of the speakers. And one afternoon, I was listening to a talk from Carrie Liu about people and places of play, where she explained her experience of shaping her role and the company culture by adding play and where people could, spaces where people could connect and exchange ideas. This wasn't her main job function. This was something that she started to doing on the side, and at the end, it became her main role. So I felt inspired, and the next morning, I asked my boss at that time if I could host a team building event using a play methodology. He agreed. And then if people can mute themselves, please. He agreed, and I started researching, and to my surprise, the team really liked it. So the next thing I asked if I could invite an external speaker to tell us about what he was doing on innovation. Thanks to that, a colleague came to me and told me that there was someone else in the company doing hackathons for his team. Then he knew someone else that was doing something to shape the culture of his team. And that's how the Innovation Club was born. The Innovation Club is a grassroots innovation initiative driven by employees. We host and we create events for employees to connect, to learn, to exchange ideas. So we have workshops where we teach them new skills about innovation and play and purpose. And we also invite external speakers to come and tell us what are they doing in the innovation field. We also have company-wide hackathons. And the last hackathon we had was online, since the majority of us are working from home. So the idea here was to give people the voice to tell us how did they see the future of work in the companies. We wanted to see how people see themselves in the future of work. And we had 150 people, change agents joining the event from 17 countries. And we had around 36 ideas submitted. And also we give trainings about brainstorming, design thinking, and pitch, elevator pitch. So what can we learn from this redesign? Mindset is everything. We can jump from thing to thing because it doesn't fit us. But what about if we, instead of jumping from one place to another, we try to redesign what we think is the ideal, or what we think it has to be redesigned? So one practical thing that I want you to do after this talk is think of something in your life or in your career that has or needs to be redesigned. Then find a group of people that can help you and think the same way and work together. Now, another thing that I think it's very important and I'm very passionate about is collaboration. As we saw, it's very difficult as individuals and as societies for us to collaborate. We struggle sometimes to collaborate. And if we do, we struggle to collaborate with purpose. And this has been very, very pricey for us and will be costly for us if we don't learn how to collaborate with purpose, because the challenge we're facing cannot be solved by one hero. It has to be a group of people that know their purpose and how to collaborate. So this is a challenge that I took and I wanted to research more about it. So I used the design thinking process. The design thinking process is a human-centered approach that helps you move from a challenge space to solution space. And it's human-centered because throughout every phase of the design thinking process, you are thinking about the humans you are designing the solution for. So it's a system, it's a process that is built in deep empathy, because what you're trying to do is think how the person is thinking and seeing the world how they are seeing it. If you're gonna solve their challenges, you need to understand and put yourself in their shoes. And this is important because you are gonna build a lot of prototypes. You're gonna do a lot of empathy exercise, and this will help you gain insights. You're going to do a lot of observation exercises where you're going to try to understand the spoken but unspoken needs, sometimes these patterns that emerge. And this is important and fundamental because the solution you're going to build is something that is human-centered and is centered in their needs. So using that process, I research about the purposeful collaboration and what are the things that are hindering us from doing purposeful collaboration. We know one of the things is that we haven't trained the skill for collaboration. So I did interviews and empathy and exercises for this. I interview people from big corporations, entrepreneurs, coaches, freelancers. And then what I discovered were few insights. One is that people is afraid of failure. People is afraid of failure, and no wonder why. We know why, right? Because we don't know how to learn and deal with failure. There is a lack of interest, sometimes negativity, bad past experiences, those things hinder collaboration. Also, there is sometimes lack of trust, misalignment. People do not understand the goal of the project, miscommunication, not creative goals. Also, people sometimes feel like they are taught, not empowered. Their skills are not leveraged to their full potential, and sometimes milestones not celebrated. About 70% of employers, and this is based on a survey, rate team and teamwork and collaboration as very important. Nevertheless, it's not happening. And if it is happening, it's not happening sometimes purposely. So this is how the EPICGAME was formed. The EPICGAME uses the metaphor of the superheroes and their superpowers to encourage purposeful collaboration. So you may be wondering, okay, how this game works. Well, I'm going to invite you to imagine with me that we're a team. And we're a team that our goal is to encourage purposeful collaboration. So the EPICGAME is a game that can be played by any type of team and any type of project. But for this morning, I want us to think that we are a big group of people that are trying to encourage purposeful collaboration. But we become superheroes. So we're going to embark in this game as superheroes. And we're going to think first, what are our superpowers? Now, when you hear the mission of purposeful collaboration, the first inclination you will have is to jump in and think, okay, what are the things I'm going to do to make purposeful collaboration happen? But the game takes a different approach. We're going to start this game by the epic fail. So instead of thinking, what are my superpowers to construct or win this mission, we're gonna think, what are my superpowers to destroy this mission? So I wanna invite you to write in the chat, what are your superpowers to destroy purposeful collaboration? And I'll ask Paulette to help me.
Yeah, distraction, distracted, blame, fear, procrastination, fear, politics.
Perfect. So I have few examples.
Fear, yeah, no
Okay,
trust, sorry.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your participation, everyone. So I have some examples: superhero, cancellation pogger, whatever you say, we have done it. It has been done. It doesn't work. Explosive comments, right? And why do we start with the epic fail? Because we saw that people is afraid of failure. But when we name failure, we claim it and we reframe it. We put it in the light. And when we put something in the light, we're less scared of it, right? So by helping everyone understand what can it go wrong and what are the things that we can do to destroy the mission, people is more willing to share and to be open and to understand what are the things that can destroy the mission. Now, because it's a game, it's fun and it's less intimidating. Now that we have gone to the first level of the game, the second one is the epic win. Now that we see what is failing, now we're gonna see how can we contribute to this mission. So any ideas of what are your superpowers to help purposeful collaboration? And I invite you also to write it in the chat.
Empathy, communication, support, empathy, honesty, empathy, enthusiasm, listening.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yes.
Possibility and structure. Yeah, sorry.
Perfect. No, that's great. Thank you so much. Yes. So by you're also understanding what are the things that we contribute, we feel empowered as well. And we see how other people see that they can contribute. In the epic win part of the game, you also have the ability to say what are the things you're curious about so people can learn about it. What are the things you're going to learn, your power ups, how you want your skills to be leveraged, and also decoding the mission, because we saw that communication is essential and some of you already mentioned it, but also understanding. If I tell you purposeful collaboration, for me might mean something very different than for you. So decoding the mission is an exercise that you do individually, but as a group, so everyone has the same level of understanding of what collaboration means, what the mission means, and then we can build from there. After we have gone through the part of the level of the epic win, then we move to the heroes agreement. And in this part, we agree how we're gonna build our super world. So there are many exercises. We have some cards, and then people come and see, okay, I see that we can build the super world by this. So we agree how we're gonna work together and what are the things we're gonna do and what are the things we're not gonna do to make this mission a success. And finally, it's very important, not only do, but also reflect. So the level 4 of the game is a retrospective. As after 2 weeks of the project, you're gonna come and do a game for the retrospective, where you are gonna see what worked, what didn't work, what you have to start and what you have to stop. So this is a simple tool that will help you really in a fun and constructive way do team collaboration. Now, what we can learn from this, and I want you to take with you, is reframing. Sometimes we're so inclined to just go when we hear you have to do this, we go and do it. But now I want to invite you that if you're facing a challenge of a project, that you stop and you think how you can deconstruct it so you understand what are the parts and how every single part plays a role. And once you have understand what are these parts, how the things work, then you can start constructing. So think of a project that you have, and instead of just jumping in, try to deconstruct it, reframe what is not working, and then construct. Now I want you to give me a reaction on your screen if you think purpose is important. And this is a very topic core to my heart, because as I mentioned, I think purpose is not a nice to have, it's essential. If you're gonna have the resilience and the motivation to do things, you have to understand your purpose. But as an innovation, as collaboration, purpose is very abstract. It can mean many things for many people. Well, this is a framework called the Launch Your Purpose framework that guides you through very hands-on exercises to answer 3 fundamental questions about your purpose. And the first one is who? Who is your North Star? And we start with, sometimes people say start with the why, but we need to go back and start with our who. And why who? Because who is very important, because knowing who we are will help us to know our why. So for your who is composed of your background, experience, creations, your story, your value, your mindset. And this is fundamental, because when you understand that you are original, you understand the role you have to play in your purpose. And why do I say you are original? Just think about your background and your experiences and all you have lived. Even if you have brothers or sisters, the way you see life is unique to you. It's like your fingerprint. No one else has it. And you may think, well, why that is relevant? It's very relevant because the solutions you see and the problems you see it in your own unique way. And when you understand that if you don't do something, if you don't take action, no one else will do, because maybe you were given that vision for something. And that brings you to your why, exploring who you are and what are your signals to strengths, and understanding that your core, it helps bring you to your why. Your why is your orbit. Your why will help you move around. And as I mentioned, purpose is very abstract. So for here, we break out with the one. We break out with the idea there is one purpose. Purpose is fluid and it is to change, and you can have many purposes. And it's important you understand that in your life, in all your spaces of influence, you can have many purposes, and those purposes can evolve as you evolve. But purpose, we are going to define it at be the best answer you can be. And why? Because that vision that you have of the life and of the solution is only used to have. So the role you have to play in shaping that is essential. Now, you are not meant, and you're not going to be able to launch your purpose alone. You need the help of the universe. And the universe is your network, your environment, the people around you, your constraint, and your opportunities. When you understand all the connections and how you play a part, is when you're going to be able to launch your purpose. So this is a framework that helps you hands-on guide to launch your purpose. And I like the phrase of there is beauty in the chaos, there is purpose in being lost, because we are so sometimes obsessed or, keen in knowing our purpose that we forget to enjoy the process. So these frameworks help you let go of the idea of finding your purpose and really enjoying the process of finding your purpose. Because when you go through the process is when you are able to grow and find the motivation to do the things that will help you launch your purpose. Now, I want to summarize this with a quote that I think summarizes very well what purpose is and why it's important. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go and do it, because what the world needs is people that have come alive. So very simple. Purpose. We learned that purpose is essential. And how can you start launching your purpose today? Think of something that makes you come alive and go do it, because you never know the impact you're going to have in the world. So purpose, remember, is not a nice to have, it's essential. And this will give you the motivation to go out there, to be resilient, and to go and live your full potential. So we're at the end of the talk. And what are the takeaways? Well, we saw the 5 steps that you can start doing. Why it's important to challenge assumptions to create the change you want to see. why a simple step, a simple action can unfold a very exciting journey for you, and how redesigning and reframing can help you shape challenges and transform them to really shape the future. And finally, that purpose is essential, and you must look to launch your purpose. You cannot do it alone, but when you do it, you're going to have motivation and you're going to release your full potential. And now, remember the dots. Well, this is the secret. The challenge we face as individuals and as society require new ways to approach it. Require us to diverge in our own individual way, but also as a group of individuals. And we should care because we all have the capacity to be intuitive, to generate ideas, because we are all creators that have in our hand a white canvas that symbolizes the future, a future that requires greater self-knowledge, collaboration, empathy, sustainability, and new approaches. So I want to challenge you this morning to go out there and live your full potential. And with that, I want to welcome your question.
Well, thank you very much, Jarazet, for this passionate and interesting talk. Now I invite everyone to start our Q&A session. And I invite all of you to unmute yourself and ask directly Jarazet any questions you have about her presentation. So who wants to go first?
Me, if it's possible.
Sure.
Hey guys, good morning. I'm Alfonsina. Thank you, Jarazet, for your intervention. It was amazing. And I just feel like really inspired right now. I mean, this year it's been quite hard for all of us. And as you said, like between this chaos, I noticed like so many things about myself and my career and like personally talking. And today I would like to ask you, like, for tips that we can daily do so we can remember to like enjoy the journey, because sometimes we're just so focused on like reaching a goal and I need this and I need that, but how can we just don't lose this focus on enjoying the journey? How can we do that?
Yeah, I have one simple tip that you can start doing, and it's play. Put some time in your agenda and play. Why? Because when we play, we don't focus about, oh, I'm gonna build, best castle. When you're a kid, you just do it for the joy of doing it. So one thing you can start doing is start doing things just for the pleasure of doing. And one thing that will help you is play. It also has implications in our brain. When we play, we connect our two hemispheres of the brain. We release certain hormones. And so it's, it's very important for us to play, even as an adult. So one thing you can do is play. The other thing that you can do is find something that makes you come alive and go do it. But also it's important that we don't do things only for ourselves. We try to do things for others. So if you see something that has a need, go and try to take a step, a simple step. So for example, today, what is one step that I want to take to challenge or to design or to redefine these things? And don't look for the outcome, just do it for the pleasure of doing it. I have IMS and I forgot, they are very famous in design. I'll send the link of them. But the thing is that they build a machine, and they're very famous in the famous designers, and maybe designers can help me. But they built a machine that was the non-purpose machine. So what they did is just build a machine that had no purpose. They just did it for the sake of doing and building. And what happened then was that it was the first solar machine ever built. They didn't intend it to be like that, but they just do it. So you never know when you're doing things without a purpose, what would happen next. So if you feel something like, oh, I want to now do Play-Doh, go buy a Play-Doh and do it. Or now I want to write a poem and put it online, go and do it, because that will release something that you never know where it will go. So I would encourage you to do that.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Great. Anyone else who wants to ask Jarazet a question? Please don't be shy.
Hi, here's Andrea. Hi. I don't have a question, but I have something to say to what we just talked about. And I think one thing that is also very important to keep going is collaboration. Talk with people, even in times like these. Go online or share your knowledge, share your experiences, say how you feel, and try to find people and the surrounding that motivates you. Because I think that's something that I need now. So that's yeah, why I thought of it. I think that's very important too, that you talk to people that think the same or differently, and that motivate you to keep going.
And listen to Creative Morning Talks. That also helps.
Thing.
There's someone in the chat, Trish, asking Jara, what's your superpower?
I think my superpower is just do it. If I feel something, before I felt something and I never do it, but then I started doing it and then I started seeing the effects. So now I just don't think, I just do it. And I think that's one of my superpowers. I don't feel shy to do things. I'll just do it and then I'll see, okay, whatever happens, happens. Some people say that my superpower is creativity, but I think that's the effect of doing things and being all over the place, trying new things, that helps you to be creative. So I think that's an outcome of just doing things.
Great.
I have a
more
question,
great.
if possible. Yes. Hi, morning. I'm Manuel. I was wondering when hearing this presentation, for how would you approach a team or a group of people working, trying to solve a problem that maybe they are not so keen to try this game approach, right? And they are more serious and they say, oh, this is not for us, we don't like, this is silly, you know, because that's not always easy, right? So would you recommend, or in your experience, would you recommend, let's say, to push this approach until they accept, let's say, or just forget about this and say, okay, let's follow whatever your way is? What would you say? Keep insisting or leave them alone and do their own way?
Well, I'll tell you for my experience, you lead by example. So if you feel like the people is not, willing to play, you start doing things in a playful way. So for example, one thing that I did was this team building activity. I used some building blocks and I just told people, do a figure of who you are and, play this. And it was like a 15-minute exercise. But what helps them see is that, oh, actually, instead of introducing yourself as, oh, I'm here, I'm Jarazet and I'm blah, 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 we're going to do it differently. We're going to have these blocks and you're going to build who you are and you're going to tell us who you are. So this is very simple. They feel like, oh, it's not a game. I'm introducing myself, but in the way they see, oh, this was fun. And it helped me understand that person values circles instead of squares because of that. So that, those small steps to warm up people, try to find ways to do input exercise like this in your meetings, where if people do not feel like, oh, I'm playing, this is silly, but when they feel like, oh, this is part of how I should introduce myself, or this is part of how should I present. So for example, I use a lot of animated GIFs when I do my presentations. And then I start seeing people losing it up when they do their presentations. So you lead by example and you try to be authentic in the things you do, but also, introduce yourself a little bit of this playfulness.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, and we have time for one last question before we wrap this amazing session today? Anyone else? Well, thank you very much. You have one?
I have one question. I don't know if it's a question, but more of an observation, but I've observed that a lot of people are searching for a purpose, and it's the purpose. And I like the way that you've explained that obviously this can shift. And I just wanted to ask, really, how often do you see this, that people are looking for the purpose, and when they have found a purpose or design that purpose, does that help them to grow?
Yeah, I think that the majority of people is finding the purpose they want, and that is constraining people to grow. So I think our mission or our challenge assumptions is that helping people understand that in your different life spheres you have different purposes, and if you are flexible, it will help you grow more. So I see a lot of people trying to find the purpose, and this is very hard, right? Because we are here, we are holistic, as I say, we have different emotions. So why do we have to have one thing that we're committed our entire life? And what happens if it changes? Oh, I failed because I didn't reach my purpose. So challenging this assumption of the purpose, the one, it's fundamental. And purpose can evolve from one day to the other. Really, you try out something and you thought your purpose was to, I don't know, launch something or, build something. And you say like, you know what, it's not really helping me, it's not helping others. So maybe I change it today. So purpose is really be the best answer you can be wherever you are. So if you see someone struggling, maybe your purpose is to help them that day. And that's what we have to have in mind. Purpose is be the best answer we can be with the vision that we have of life. Is your own, and we have to embrace it. When we embrace our core of who we are, it's easier for us to give because we're giving who we are. So I think that's fundamental, and I agree with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, it's time. Thank you very much, Jarazet, for this incredible presentation. I think everyone felt your passion and your really, your fun and your happiness talking about all these topics. And one last thing, well, two last things before we go is that we are sharing Jarazet's contacts on the chat. So if you have more questions for her or you want to talk to her about whatever she mentioned today, please feel free to contact her. And the second thing is that our next Creative Mornings event, the March session, will be part of the Munich Creative Business Week. So please stay tuned to our newsletter and social media, because we're going to be sharing details about this session that is actually quite close. Is around in 2 weeks, and it's going to be a very special presentation because we're going to have 2 speakers at the same time. That this is quite new. So I think one of the speakers is here. Yeah, say hi, Anne, if you can.
Hello.
So Anne and Eleanor are going to be with us in 2 weeks, and we are very happy to be part of the Munich Creative Business Week. The program is also on the chat, so you can start to check it out, the other activities they have. And please, again, thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. This video, the recording of this talk, is going to be soon in our website. We're going to send also the information when it is. And have a great weekend. So see you soon, and bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks and bye. Have a good weekend.